What's going on, YouTube? This is UngarToTheMax here. Salute. And it, in case you know, the name of this video is Weekend in Review. I'm disappointed. I know, this is considered a sports vlog. I just decided to give it a slightly different name. Now, the main reason I'm disappointed is because of this. So, as I said, I'm a junior here at Notre Dame College. So I like to go out and play pickup basketball games with friends. Well, on Thursday night, last Thursday, I should say, so a week from last Thursday, I'll just say it like that, I was playing a pickup game with a bunch of friends, and slipped while on the basketball court, had to stick my hand out to try and catch my ball, and my hand went like that, and I badly sprained it. So now I'm in this for about 2 or 3 weeks approximately, meaning I can't play basketball, I can't go mermaiding, and I can't play pool. So that's the main reason that last weekend was disappointing for me, because of this injury. Hang on 1 second. Gotta check a text message. Alright, my apologies about that. But the other reason I'm disappointed is because I was really looking forward to UFC 223, which was originally going to be Khabib Nurmagomedov against Tony Ferguson for the UFC lightweight belt. But that fight ended up not happening because Tony Ferguson injured his LCL, completely tore it off the bone, so he had to pull out of the fight. And then Max Holloway, the 145-pound champion, or also known as the featherweights, was willing to step in and fight Khabib on 6 days' notice. Well, the day of the weigh-ins, which I believe was Friday, he was deemed medically unfit, so that fight was off. Then he was scheduled to face Anthony Pettis, and that fight was off. So, but eventually he fought Al Iaquinta, and from the highlights I've seen, it was actually a decent fight. But I was so looking forward to either seeing the Tony Ferguson against Khabib Nurmagomedov fight, or Max Holloway against Khabib Nurmagomedov. But neither fight happened. By the way, this was the fourth time they've tried to make this Tony Ferguson-Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. Every time the fight has been called off for one reason or another. Whether it was Tony Ferguson getting injured most recently, or at UFC 209 when this fight had also been scheduled, but Khabib missed weight. And Dana White has come out and publicly said that the UFC will never try to schedule this fight again. So, unfortunately, we will never get, unless something changes, unfortunately, we will never get the chance to see Khabib against Ferguson. But there is still the possibility. But here's the interesting thing with that. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the new undisputed UFC lightweight champion of the world. I know that. But who is the interim UFC lightweight champion? Tony Ferguson. So how is the UFC going to handle that one? That'll be interesting. Will the UFC, or there is no interim champion anymore, but Tony Ferguson is still the #1 contender. So it'll be interesting to see what the UFC does with that. Because, as I said, Dana White came out and said that they will not try to make this Tony Ferguson Khabib Nurmagomedov fight again. But I think they should try and make the Max Holloway Khabib fight again. I was so excited to see that fight. Even though Max Holloway was coming in on 6 days' notice, think about that matchup stylistically. You have Max Holloway, who has this quick striking like this, and then you have Khabib, who likes to take you down, beat you up on the ground, and wrestle. He's a wrestler first. However, when he fought Al Iaquinta on Saturday in the main event of UFC 223, Khabib actually adapted his game because he realized that his wrestling wasn't getting him anywhere in the matchup, so he was stuck with what was working, which was the left jab. Now, what's interesting about Khabib is some of his punches, instead of being traditional and punching like this, straight on, some of his punches, he'll actually go up, like this. So let's say I were to do that. If you punch hard enough, your head will go back, snap back like that, with enough force. Khabib has one of the strangest fighting styles I have ever seen. So that's UFC 223. WrestleMania also happened last week. That was exciting. You had Charlotte Flair against Asuka, Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns. You had Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And there were just fantastic matchups. Alexa Bliss against Nia Jax, who the two of them used to be best friends, but then Alexa Bliss, probably fully knowing that there was a boom microphone in the room, saying, "I used Nia. Look at her and look at me. She's just as big as she is dumb." Really? After saying she's your best friend, Alexa, you're going to turn around and say, "Oh, yeah, I used Nia." And then when you come out to apologize, you go, "I'm sorry that I didn't speak the truth earlier." Yeah, you got what you deserved, little Miss Bliss, losing as badly as you did, getting tossed around like a little rag doll at WrestleMania 34. You deserved it, Alexa Bliss. Or, as WWE fans say, you deserve it. You deserve it. Okay, so, the match of the night was AJ Styles against Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Championship. Ultimately, AJ Styles won it, and Shinsuke Nakamura was, well, disappointed. I mean, you would be too if you just lost a match with the champion and didn't win the championship. So what did Shinsuke Nakamura do? He threw a couple cheap shots, like punching AJ Styles in the parts, and just taking him down, throwing him out of the ring, releasing some frustration. I get it. You're disappointed that you lost the fight, or that you lost the match, I should say. But you don't take it out like that. Just, it is what it is. You can't really change that. So, actually, I might I don't know if I'll change the title of this video or not. But anyway, so this week is going to be a good week Here's why. The Cavaliers' regular season wraps up tonight against the New York Knicks. I will be at the game, so I'll be taking some video and post them later. And then tomorrow, the Columbus Blue Jackets start Stanley Cup playoffs. And for the first time, it will be against a different opponent other than the freaking Pittsburgh Penguins. Thank God. Because, hang on. Just replying to a text message super quick. So hang on one second. So the last time, I believe this will be the fourth time in the franchise history that the Blue Jackets have made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the first 3 times the Blue Jackets made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, we lost to the same damn team. And 2 out of those 3 years, that team has gone on to win the Stanley Cup championship. Or the Stanley Cup. And that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. Last year, and 2009 were the 2 years. The only exception is 2012. Because the Penguins beat us in the first round that year. But the Los Angeles Kings would go on to win the Stanley Cup that year. So I'm excited to have a different opponent in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Although I'm not sure it's necessarily better. Because the Capitals were the top team the Capitals won the Metropolitan Division, which so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but at least we don't have to deal with Phil Kessel, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Connor Sheary, Brian Rust. No, instead we have to deal with Nicholas Backstrom, Alex Ovechkin. Who else? No, not Shattenkirk. Holtby. Let me see. Who else is on the Capitals that I think we need to worry about? And I do think the Blue Jackets, this is going to sound a little crazy, but I think if the Blue Jackets, and this is a very big if the Columbus Blue, if we can go into Capital One Arena and, I'm getting Kuznetsov. That's who it is. If the Blue Jackets can go into Capital One Arena and win either game 1 or game 2, maybe both, it gives the Blue Jackets a great chance of winning the series possibly. Now I'm not going to even though I'm a Blue Jackets fan, I've got to be realistic. I don't see us winning the series, but here comes the but. I could see this series possibly going 6, maybe the full 7 games. It all depends on if the Blue Jackets if we can win games 1 or 2 in Washington. Well, it's not all depending on that. Let me rephrase that. If the Blue Jackets want to possibly force a game 7 or win the series, they've got to win at least 1 game in Washington, maybe 2. So whether that's winning games 1 and 5, if there's a game 5, or maybe it's games 2 and 5, or if need be, winning games 2 and 7. So you just, because you know what you're gonna get from the Capitals. Ovechkin is has one of the best slap shots in the game. The Capitals love to pass it to him, and he does a one-time shot. Bang! It's in the back of the goal. Now, Bobrovsky is going to be a big key in this series. So, it's going to be, the goaltending matchup's going to be interesting. However, it will not be Braden Holtby in goal for the Washington Capitals. I don't remember the name of the Capitals goalie off the top of my head, but I know it's not Braden Holtby. Now, he might be back for game 2. I don't know. And I'm not sure the reasoning why he's not starting game 1. But that could potentially help the Blue Jackets, because Holtby is one of the best goaltenders in the NHL. That's just my opinion. But, in my opinion, he is. So, having a backup goalie in that might help the Blue Jackets steal either game 1 or game 2. We will have to see. As for the Cavaliers, as I said, I will be going to the game tonight, and I will be posting videos from the game on the channel later on. But here's the thing. If the Cavaliers want to secure the number 3 seed, they need to beat the New York Knicks tonight, which it's not a matter of if they beat the Knicks tonight, it's win. Although, I shouldn't say that, because we lost to the Knicks early in the season, when it was like really early in the season. The Knicks had Porzingis and Tim Hardaway back then. And they looked like a decent team, somewhat. So, meh. But if the Cavaliers find a way to lose tonight, that's going to be pathetic. But for the Cavaliers to get the number 3 seed, they need to beat the New York Knicks tonight and have the Philadelphia 76ers lose at home to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, that might be asking a lot, because the 76ers have won 14 games in a row, including the thrilling game in which they beat the Cavaliers in Philadelphia. In that game where LeBron missed the free throws at the end. It always seems like LeBron struggles in crunch time with free throws. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it just seems that way to me. That's always been a little bit of a knock on him, is that he struggles in in crunch time. And at times he has. At other times, he stepped up. Think about it. 2016 NBA Finals. Yes, I know that's not... Okay. 3-1. You're down 3-1. One loss, and you're done. If you're down 3-1, and you lose one more game, you're done. So, crunch time. LeBron stepped up. Cavaliers win the 2016 NBA Championship. How about the 2011 NBA Finals, though? Mavericks are winning the series. I believe it was game 4. It was either game 3 or game 5. And LeBron was shooting free throws at the end to try and cut the Mavericks lead. And guess what? He choked. It's like LeBron has a switch where one night he'll choke in crunch time and another time where he'll come up big in crunch time. So, sometimes I wonder, which LeBron am I going to get in crunch time? The one that chokes, or the one that actually shows up and hits the big shot? So, the one consistent problem the Cavaliers have had all season, besides their roster being in total fluctuation, is defense. Wait, the Cavaliers playing defense? I would love to see footage of that because it seems like they haven't played defense all season long. And guess what? That could bite them back in very hard. That could bite them in the behind very hard in the playoffs. Think about it. First round, they potentially have to play Miami. Now, the Cavaliers have lost 14 straight games at the American Airlines Arena in Miami. So, I don't think we would lose a series to Miami in the playoffs, but stranger things have happened. Now, let's say we get to the second round. We would either have to play Toronto or Boston. Oh, by the way, our first round opponent could also be the Indiana Pacers. And that wouldn't be an easy matchup either. The Pacers won the season series against us 3-1, although most of the games were close, but the first game wasn't close. Although, like I said, the Cavaliers roster was in fluctuation. But we don't have anybody to match with Oladipo, because LeBron's not going to guard Oladipo. J.R. Smith can't guard Oladipo. What are you going to do? Have George Hill guard Oladipo? No. Oladipo can drive right to the basket whenever he wants. He's developing a nice mid-range shot, I will say, which he didn't really have when he was in Orlando or Oklahoma City. Yeah. So, that's interesting that just now he's developing a nice mid-range game. So, it won't be, even if we play Indiana or Miami, our first round opponent will not be an easy one. If the Cavaliers were to sweep the Pacers or sweep the Heat, I would honestly be surprised. So, that's going to do it for now. Hope you enjoyed this live stream. If you did, punch that like button in the face like a UFC fighter and punch that subscribe button. For now, this is UngarToTheMax signing off. Salute.